Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis updated commodities, work our way through the dollar yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. And then I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. There it is. That's where I dive deeper into these sectors, into the individual companies. I can give you my opinions about all of those things. We do that during a midweek update, which I just released today. So it is active and on the website right now. And we still have that May Day coupon code that is active. MAYDAY, one word. Let's dive in today and see what's going on with the markets. We've got the DXY, and the DXY is looking a little bit heavy, selling off today. Down 0.33%. In the short term, we've got some downside selling pressure. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that certain assets have looked pretty strong today, given the weak dollar and the lowering of interest rates. Now, is this a short-term phenomena where we just go down for a little while and then bounce, or are we going to cut everything and head lower? That I do not know, but that is something to watch. And it does impact a lot of these investments as money rotates differently under a declining dollar/interest rate environment versus an increasing dollar/interest rate environment. So looking at yields, 2-year yields looking a little bit soft today. They are down. Is it going to continue? It looks like it could, but we are still within the bigger pattern, and it's falling in a way that makes me think that we will break upward at some point in the future. The big surge and then the small pullback is a flag pattern. We haven't broken out of that flag pattern yet, so that is still in play, where I think on the longer term time frame for the 2-year yield, it is still possible that we can head higher based off of the way that the market is trading. In the short term, there is possibility that we can come back over the next trading days, weeks, to a little bit to the downside. The 10-year yield's doing the same thing. It's very similar. We're squeezing into this corner. I don't know if we're going to break down or up. We don't know that yet. But we did have pretty strong move lower in yields today. Same with the 30-year yield. It's all the same setup across the board, across the different time durations for yields. So falling yields are good for precious metals. They're good for emerging markets. They're good for probably the economy at this point, because the economy has been slowing. So if we can get a little bit lower yields, I think that will help the economy to some extent. And you'll see copper, aluminum, and some of those base metals take off. So TYX TNX ratio, we are basically flat today, but that does look like it's positioned for a potential move higher. That would be good for precious metals, and that means that the uninversion of the yield curve, it could also signify that we've got a slowdown in the market and that yields could pull back, money comes into bonds, and people seek safety. Bond prices heading higher today, bouncing off the support down here, heading on up, and we are still in the corner of this determination if we're going to break higher or lower. Bond prices going up means lower yields. Bond prices breaking down means higher yields. And higher and lower yields determines money flows in the system. So just an FYI. 2-year, 10-year, in terms of the yield curve inversion, we inverted today. And this uninversion is not, I repeat, it is not from the lowering of yields. It was from an increase of yields of the longer end of the curve going up more than the shorter end. And today, we had the longer end of the curve go down more than the shorter end of the curve. Kind of some weird stuff going on here with the long end going up and down. We've got gold up $32, breaking out of its pattern, and that looks pretty good for a continued move higher over time. That does not mean that every single day will be higher. We could very well have a small down day next trading session before we move on up. So don't get too panicked if we have a down day next to this, or a retest move where multiple down days come down like this and then work our way on up. We've got silver up 3.88, another breakout of a downtrend line and or pattern. So that is a breakout. We should be bullish, in my opinion. Does not mean that the next trading day or days are going to be up days. We could have small pullbacks, bloody noses, etc. Platinum also up, and we are still stuck underneath that trend line, acting as resistance. Palladium is also higher. We have broken that trend line, but we do have a little bit of selling pressure with the wick at the top. We could experience a little bit of a pullback in the short term before heading higher. GDX looking pretty good, breaking out of that flag pattern to the upside, and we are clearing a lot of these resistance support levels. So this looks good to work its way on up. GDX looks pretty dang good. GDXJ also higher, but we're still underneath that resistance line going across. I do expect that to break with yields declining. Again, with yields declining. That does not mean if yields go up that we're just going to break it immediately. And SILJ up 4.5%, breaking through its upper resistance level today. XAU to gold ratio ribbon higher, 2.4%. People are positioning in gold and silver mining companies, and you should be too, in my opinion. That is not advice, but that is what I would be doing. And we are breaking through that big downtrend line, and we're working our way on up. And that's where money is made. That is where money is made. Crude oil up 0.3%. It is extending, but again, this is just a consolidation here. It looks good and well positioned to move higher. Now, we'll see if crude oil moving higher will impact rates. And that's what we're watching. We're watching crude oil, and generally when crude oil goes up, you get inflation in the consumer price index and those types of numbers, and that generally impacts yields to go up. TTF nat gas down a little bit. Looks like it's playing with the support area, but the momentum is changing a little bit, and we'll see if there's downside momentum in this. In America, natural gas is just moving sideways, but momentum's to the downside in the short term for Henry Hub nat gas. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, it is playing with that upper resistance line. We're turtle heading out. I think it's waiting to see what crude oil does. If crude oil rips, I think we are positioned for a move higher in XOP, which is also above the neckline. It looks fantastic. OIH also extending higher above the resistance line, which is now support. And I think it is also waiting for a move higher in crude oil. Higher, higher, higher. And we did see deficits in inventory, draws on inventory of very large draws, 12 million barrels. Huge inventory draw. Newcastle coal futures squeezing up. This looks ready to pop here at any second. It looks very good for a move higher soon for Newcastle coal futures. So that looks absolutely excellent. We have positioned already in our coal positions. Sprofelsby Uranium Trust up 2%, and it is finding some support here, and we'll see if we can gain some momentum to the upside. Physical futures pricing just moving sideways here, still within the falling wedge. And remember, coal has a falling wedge, uranium has a falling wedge, and also oil has a lot of stuff that is breaking out of its falling wedge. Confluence, baby. Let's rip this thing. URA up 3.22%. The trend line is holding, and we bounced off that trend line. So that's looking better. We've got URANIUM also up, bouncing off that support level. Looking good. We've got resistance above us, so patience. And URNJ up 4.76%. We are a little bit dipped below that resistance line, and we'll probably pierce it back upwards. Just because we break these support and resistance lines, they're not as important as what I think. It's the general trends and the confluence between all these different sectors. And if we get the dollar to decline, I think we've got a chance of heading on up. So be patient here, guys. Be patient. Copper up. Remember, declining dollar, declining yields. Copper loves it. COPX loves it too, up 3.5%. Again, we'll see if yields continue to drop. Iron ore, slightly lower, but the momentum's to the upside. Looks pretty good for a move higher, in my opinion. We've got aluminum up 2.3%. We'll see if we can come off this little base here and work our way on up. We've got nickel up just a little bit. Not really doing much there. We've got MU, the agribusiness ETF, right on support, and it's just sitting on support right now. That's the long-term support line of going across there. And this is a retest. That's generally where I purchase things. Emerging markets is up, loves the weaker dollar, loves weaker yields, and it will launch if we get a decline in the dollar. It will launch. Mark my word, if we get a decline in the dollar and yields, this will go. That's what we've seen in history, and this was the decline in the dollar and yields last time from 2002 to 2007-8. That was that big move in emerging markets. That could repeat again. If we lower yields, depending on how we lower them versus other currencies, we could see that repeat again. KRE down 2.02%. Looks like a reversal candlestick. We could see some selling pressure here over the short term. TAN loves that, loves the lower yields, up 4%. Lithium also up. Anything that's inflation, or not inflation, anything interest rate sensitive is probably going to get a little bit of a boost. So we'll see if this is an actual turning point or not. And rare earth metals also. This actually looks pretty good. We have a bullish engulfing here. The momentum's going down, and this definitely looks like we're trying to change that momentum. That looks pretty good. Baltic Dry Index up about 1%. That's got some momentum going here. That's looking pretty good. It'll work its way on up, and you could draw a downtrend there that we've broken. We've got XHB down a little bit, or up a little bit today, but still looks weak. Still looks like it could go a little bit lower, even though we had yields and dollar lower. We've got these large selling pressure candlesticks and not much of a bounce. Russell 2000 moving sideways up towards a little bit of resistance up here. We've got the S&P 500 up 0.5%. We are trying to break through this big increasing wedge pattern, defying all of technical analysis. It continues to go higher and higher. Same with NASDAQ continuing to go higher, working its way on up. It does look a little bit weird. I don't see these patterns very often where you get a rising wedge, you get a bunch of dumping right at resistance, you get all this momentum, and then without much buying pressure, it's like someone just stepped into the market and said, nope, we're going higher. That is a little bit weird. We've got SMCI up 1%. Nice kind of topping pattern here, but we are somehow holding and working our way sideways here. We've got NVIDIA up 4.26%. Big reversal candlestick here, and then it's held and it's working its way on up, surprisingly. Almost like someone wants the S&P 500 to go up and the NASDAQ to go up. Bitcoin down 2.5% today. The momentum's still downward, and this could be a continuation pattern. But again, the short term can change pretty rapidly, pretty quickly, and my opinion could change very quickly. That is a little bit of buying pressure at the end here, so there is support where we're at, and we'll see if we can put together a reversal candlestick here. Ethereum also getting some selling pressure back to the support line, and we'll see if that holds, and there is some wicks at the bottom again where there is some support there. So that's what I'm seeing in the charts today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the website. We've got a question and answer session coming up on Saturday at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. We have that May Day coupon if you'd like to try it, 50% off the first month, or you get a discount going to a yearly membership for anyone who is a member or not a member. You can always switch to the yearly membership for that discount. It's a bigger discount using the May Day coupon. So that's all I've got for today. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.